That
we
would
are
be
live
so,
now.
yeah.
Hey, we're live now.
We're live
now,
now.
yeah, now we're live.
Hello.
Welcome everybody.
Yeah, welcome to our new show. So we have two guests today, but before we introduce both, we're gonna play a little clip, then both work together, and then we can talk a little bit, introduce a little bit better. So just stay with me for a second. I just share the screen. Sure this work.
It is not working. Tiago.
We work. We're getting better on this. In the beginning, we always forget the audio and everything. So you guys can see the screen. So let's play.
Nice.
Cool.
It is not only our work.
No, I mean, there's more people involved.
There's a lot of beautiful people.
On this, of course.
Yeah, but
you're just taking the credit.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't do it. If you don't like it, it's not art.
So tonight we have Xoana. We're gonna call you
Joy.
And
Like
Esteban
Pak Joy.
also as well.
What vegetable is Esteban? And if you're Pak Joy, what's
Esteban. Esteban.
I got used to it. So
Yeah, we are like Esteban.
and
He's my special guest.
so
Yes.
yeah, and can you tell so why he's before we tell why he's a special guest? So
what's the story?
what is
And
the
whole
story?
what is the story?
With all this COVID stuff, he's my sexual toy. And he's
now he's
attached
trapped.
to me. He's trapped. And I was like, I need to do this interview. You should come with me.
Of course.
And he's a special for a lot of reasons. But of course, he's my husband. And he's one of my, I don't know how to describe it, but I love the way he sees the world. And that's what I love of him with all my heart.
Yeah.
But the story behind all, and I'm not getting cheesy and boring here, but starting rambling because that's how I start to talk and say shit. But I think it's a funny story to share with people because I used to work back and he's working right now there. He's actually,
It's been so far 7 years, but
Mhm.
the last 2.5 I've been leading. I started as an intern
in the LA office.
in the LA office, and actually we both started together 7 years ago. And I don't know if you want to tell the story how we met and
No, like we were students from graphic design because in our country public education is public and free. So
I mean, you also have private
of course
schools, but the public education is really
it's
good.
really good. Sorry guys if you do
No, it's all good.
But the thing is like if you do like animation or illustration, you don't really know what to do. So at least in my case, so I just ended up doing graphic design. That helped me for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons was that I met this guy and we ended up being together, married. And one night we were just watching already married in this huge bed. It wasn't actually huge, but we were
No, it was a
eating.
very small studio
Yeah,
apartment.
we were just eating a burger because we didn't have a table at that point. So we were watching this match.
I think it was
soccer
Argentina, Venezuela.
Yeah, we lost, but I was just eating and watching, and he actually screamed. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? I missed the goal? What
Like
happened?
we didn't score.
Yeah, we didn't
what
score.
happened?
And he told me, well,
Yeah, that I received an email from Doug talking about the chances of doing an internship. And I at the beginning, I gotta be honest, I really thought it was a joke because they sent me a Vimeo message, not like a personal email. So I just saw Buck's logo on the Vimeo message, and I was like, no, this has to be a hack or something like that. And someone's
so like, dear, insert name here.
yeah,
exactly.
Like, what is going on?
But then they sent me an email to start chatting about this, and yeah, I was all real. Of course, I'm here. So
yeah, he has his interview, and the question will be like, how I ended up like being there. But in his interview, he was like, I would love to have go and change my lives and travel to LA and leave Buenos Aires and my family. But I'm married. My wife is actually an illustrator. I wasn't an illustrator. I was trying to be. But in my country, we were working together in this studio. It was kind of a small, but the biggest.
Small, medium studio, yeah. For Buenos Aires, it was more of a medium studio, yeah.
And he was starting doing animation, but you never.
Yeah, my background. Same as Choi, I started. I studied graphic design, and I went more for the typography path and editorial stuff. I worked a couple of years doing magazines and all that. Mm-hmm. And in one of those jobs, I really had a lot of like big gaps, waiting just for notes to coming and stuff. So I was doing basically nothing, just waiting. So I started teaching myself about C4D, and that's the funny thing. My first approach in animation was on the 3D side. Mm-hmm. Well, 3D C4D.
yeah.
And then when I started working at Bug, I kind of ditched that and went fully on 2D animation and After Effects and characters and all that.
And the funny thing was, because we were trying to change, because we weren't really happy working at that place at the moment. Mm-hmm. So in order to get out of there, we were trying to do stuff together to to just build something. And while he was waiting for me to develop some illustration, he ended up doing this short video that ended up being the change in our life. And it was 10 seconds of music, beautiful shapes, and I love him, but I don't know why.
I don't know. I mean, saw there.
Yeah.
I mean, other than having a baby, that's like the 10 seconds that changes your life.
Oh yes, for sure. For me, as you can tell, I told you before, but my English is really bad. I never learned it, and for us, taking this change in our life, like changing our life and living our culture, our friends, our family, our support, and going to another country, doing whatever. I don't know. We were like, what the fuck is going on? And I remember the first day at back, we were interns, and Ryan Honey came to me to say hi, like, hey, I interviewed. Actually, my interview with Ryan was with Esteban in the middle, trying to translate because I wasn't knowing. No, I didn't have idea what he was telling me. No idea. So the first day actually, a beautiful woman opened the door. Was Kaylin, who ended up being the producer that I love and is my friend, and we have this collective of girls.
Yes, you gotta talk about that.
And she was like, oh, she was using a dress and it's all this beautiful body, those legs, and I was like, oh my god, what is this world? And suddenly Ryan came up, and I'm pretty sure I'm 5 feet. I don't know.
He's
it's
tall.
a meter and a half.
He's pretty tall. Yeah.
And he's told us, he was like, I was like, what is he saying? So I was just saying hi and yes. And he was like, so I followed him, and we went to this huge table, an Ames table, super fancy, expensive. And I was like, what am I doing here? What is going on? But I was pretty relaxed and chill. He was the one, they call him, and I was just part of the package. But I wasn't there to.
You buy one, you get one free.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it 2 for 1. I was like, they were trying to figure out what to do with me because I was like this graphic designer, wife of Esteban and whatever. And I remember him taking, like, your hands were like.
Oh yeah, I was so nervous. I got a rash on my hand.
And I was
No way.
just like,
Terrible.
whatever. So I was just enjoying everything, but they actually stayed us together. And I was, every time my producer came to ask me to do something, I was like, yes. And then ask him, like, Esteban, what he actually said, that I don't have idea what I should supposed to do. And I remember a week after that, they sent you to a private
to an NDA project where we were like kind of like
and I was like, fuck,
in another room.
what am I going to do now? And I don't know how we survived to that, but we did. And actually we survived the first month with $20 in our pockets. That's another stuff. That's why, sorry, you asked something and I'm just, but that's why he's a special guest for me. Like, really, someone, like, every time I need to, someone asks me the story of my background or how I ended up to back, you're part of the problem and the issue. That's why we ended up here. So I think it was like, I received your email, it's like, hey, I won't ask him first. I will ask you first. And if you guys approve, I will.
Yeah.
Like the same way you said you did with Ryan.
Exactly.
Like, hey, my wife.
It's like you're repaying.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my.
So now all is closed. You already repay him, so you don't feel you own anything.
Exactly.
Did you guys move to LA just to work to do the internship for Buck?
Yeah, and actually, I don't know. Well, yeah, in our brains, in our minds, the idea was just stay for.
Yeah, it was a momentary
3
thing.
months.
They offered me the first time we talked. They offered me either a 6 months internship or an 18 months, and I was super scared. And the chances of getting her weren't even in the talks at that moment and on the table. So I freaked out and I said, no, 6 months, it's more than okay. And originally I was gonna come myself alone for 6 months, and it was okay. Then I think I already signed for the 6 months. So then she came in, I was already kind of like late to change that. So but then we extended, once we were here, we extended our internship and they hired us.
Yeah, actually they hired him, of course, because I was there to make coffee. I wasn't really doing it. No,
this is like a reoccurring theme, isn't it?
Exactly. I was just cleaning the baths and whatever, watching the girl. No, but yeah, you were like you find your space there in your path pretty quickly, and for me it was like what we can do with this little shitty graphic design. They asked him to stay for like extended internship. And I remember you told me, like, Ryan told me, Choi, we don't know what to do with Choi.
No, I think, at the beginning they were mentioning the chances of getting you as a freelancer. But I totally understand. At the beginning you were not the artist you're now, not because, I think it was more because you were so used to do vector and more graphic design. At that moment, Buck didn't have too much to offer on the graphic design side. So they were just trying to see what to give you. But then, and at that moment, there were a couple of projects where you just shined and you started doing Photoshop characters and stuff like that. And they saw it and it was, of course.
Everything was glitter. No, because I have the excuse to for me, back was that aha moment when you learn something in your brain. Just it's like an organs, or how you say it, like
orgasm.
Orgasm.
Process. When you learn something, your brain is like, for me, back was that. And for us, actually, seeing from Argentina, from another country, from outside, it's like, oh, this place, huge, amazing, and there are people, and they're so patient and lovely.
Yep.
And they open their resource and they're like, wow. And you just have all this amount of beautiful aha moments that you can just embrace and hug. And it was pretty difficult. It was hard, but you grow up so fast because you have all this shit coming through your eyes, and you're like, yes, just give it to me. And
so what was your work like before you're at Buck then? Because obviously we love your work, but we only know it from what we've seen kind of post Buck revolution, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's for me, I was like, since I was a child, I love to, draw and do little shit, but I never study. I never have any idea how to really paint or whatever. So for me, the only way to develop that thing was like doing a graphic design career. But while I was pretty much studying that, I realized that wasn't really the path to develop my skills as an illustrator. So I ended up like working with typography, and I ended up working with logos and branding. And in a way, it's crazy how our experience actually helped us to build our path. Like in that moment, I was like, fuck, this is not for me. What am I doing? Like I will end up doing this, like, and then now when I'm trying to think or try to build something new, I have this background connecting dots and making my brain to, grab those experiences that for me was really bad. But now I see myself put in that experience through my drawings. And my background was pretty much vector because I only was using Illustrator to draw.
Yeah.
And I was actually drawing in paper, and then scanner and vector, and because I was doing actually old school, and I was doing actually I built a typography, a typephone, and it's all about like shapes and family, and see how elements relate with other elements. And designing an Illustrator, it's all the same shit. It's like trying to build and other elements. So for me, that background was really helpful. But when I started back, I was like not having any single skill, and actually started using PSC at back. And my first day there I wasn't actually they put the computer, but again, I was just the wife or Esteban's wife. So I like, what is she doing? So I wasn't having how you say the same thing?
Wacom.
So I was just drawing. They asked me to do poses of a character, so I was drawing and feeling pretty shitty, but I was happy with my papers and going to the art director with my papers. He was like, it was his birthday, Joe Mullen, which is fantastic. I love that guy. He was looking at me like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, this is what I'd be doing. Like, even I wasn't able to say that in English. I was like, hello. And then actually they realized it will be better for me to have a Cintiq. And oh my God, that changed my life. Oh, when I have a Cintiq, I was like, wow. So sorry, what was your question? I'm rambling. Just stop me. That's what
it was your evolution, kind of your
evolution.
going from what was your work like beforehand to how you got to where you were today. I'm intrigued now. I'm intrigued.
Oh, you need to watch. I can send it to you. It's actually, in a way, it looks similar when I think I take it over from my website, but I used to have like old projects, and it's crazy how when I see those first project, you see yourself trying to be something else. When you're trying to, because
trying to find
it's
yourself.
It's hard for us to be shamed and feel comfortable feeling shame, because you don't want to do. And I think perfection is so seductive. That's the word. Like you want to be perfect, so you don't feel the shame to be judged. And we need to get out of this fucking judgmental. Right now, in this moment, it's like, what the fuck is going on? But for us, it's so I'm saying I was chill, but for me, it was hard to be in this huge place, trying to be more than Esteban's wife, and
that's the worst job title.
But it's like, because I was trying to be perfect, or being part of this huge back studio, when I go back to those early projects, I see myself trying to be something that I wasn't me. And of course, we all need to go through that part of our experience when we try. Yeah, it's like we all try to be something else.
That build you.
Exactly. Because we need all this experience previous to wrap yourself and do what you are, and you're going to fuck up, of course. But
we're still going through those phases anyway. We're still going through those phases, but for whatever the next stage might be in the future, we just don't know. You know, like in 10 years' time, we could look back at our work and go, "That's a bag of dicks."
Why? Yeah, like why? But that, you know, pay the bills, you know, too. It's like it's like it's for me it's beautiful to see ourselves growing up, and it's uncomfortable to watch, but it's part, as you say, it's part of like the process of learning, of growing up.
So when your parents ask you guys like what you do for a living, what do you tell them? Because this is always like the tricky part of our job. Like it's so multifaceted and too many hats you have to wear and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of difficult to describe. How would you describe your job to your parents so they kind of understand what you guys do?
Oh, you do little drawings.
You play with crayons. Here's some crayons.
I
think the illustration is even easier. No, when it goes to animation, it's even more hard. You know?
That's what I was trying to say for.
Because
the other day, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know in Argentina, but in Brazil, like if you say nowadays change a lot, you know. But in the past, if you say I'm animator, you know, it sounds more like you're animating kids' party, you know, than you're doing a real animation. People didn't realize what animation.
Bring the balloons. No. What I was gonna say is like I've been lately playing The Last of Us Part 2, and the funny thing is that
makes
her
you
mom's
cry
here with us. And she was watching it, and she was asking us like, is that a real thing? And I was like, no, it's 3D, but it's based on a real thing. Well, maybe.
Sure. This is post-COVID world. It's post-COVID.
It's another word.
So it's really hard for them to understand sometimes.
And I guess, as you say, Thiago, like for illustrators, I think first it's a privilege to be an illustrator. Oh my God, I'm thinking like, wow, I'm doing illustrations. So, but it's easier in a way because they can really see it, and it's like, oh, she just draws and goes to, you know, oh, I have this chance to go to my country, which I never really work as an illustrator there. So every time I have the opportunity to work for my own country, or it's like, wow, a privilege. So they asked me for this museum in Argentina, Centro Cultural Recoleta.
That's how I pronounce it.
A mural, and seeing my grandma, my mom, my whole family, and my little one. Oh, that was amazing. It's like, Mom, I did this, and actually I wasn't really drawing the walls because an amazing group of people did it, but I can explain them that was part of my process. That was part of my.
And her granny, she was stopping everyone and telling, "Oh, my granddaughter did this."
She's from Spain. She's from Galicia. She was pretty little, and she traveled to Argentina because they were in a civil war back then. So she likes to sing and scream and make she's amazing. My mom too. So I grew up with all that noise and movement and colors and she's like that. And actually the mural is part of like that movement and colors. So I was like, see, grandma, see, Mom, this is for you. And I'm like, wow, yeah.
And then your grandma said to you, you're still unemployed, no? You're still doing the same when you were a kid, just drawing.
Isn't that code word? That's code word, isn't it? Like, oh, you're an illustrator. It's like code for unemployed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on.
Yeah, my daughter is an illustrator as well. Huh?
Yeah, she's a lot of
a lot of afternoons just drawing.
She's drawing everything. Yeah,
she's interning.
She's interning.
We are all illustrators. Like we all have this creative part of our brain that we need to use. So yeah, we can all draw. whatever.
Kind of.
And
Yeah, really,
a question in regards to working together, because you live together, you move to LA together, you work at back together. How is work?
Is that intense?
Yeah, how is working
You're not
together?
divorced?
Because a lot of people we spoke, or is a couple, but they have a company. But when you work for another company and you two work in the same company, how is for you two? Because you spend all the time together.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty cool dynamic.
Yeah. I miss that.
Just the first thing to know is that, well, you guys know Buck, and when we started, we were probably 35 people, and now we are about like 200 and something. But already being 35 people, it was quite a big studio for us. So there were many different projects going around at the same time, and not all the time we were working together. So many days we were coming back home together, and we started chatting and telling each other what we did on the day, because we at the beginning we were sitting together, but then after a couple of months, they put like a 2D pit, animation pit, and then the design pit. So we were not like physically together all the time, though we were in the studio. But yeah,
I was harassing him. I was touching him. No, it was actually because we actually worked together in Buenos Aires too, as you say before. For us, it was a really different experience. Like, imagine here we were alone. We were just part of like a new world, new culture, no friends, no family. We made friends. They're really good friends.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is like, I think it helped us so much to work together and share space.
Yeah.
And
it made us much more closer,
more closer
than we were
than ever.
before.
Yeah.
Was
In
it
a
difficult
point
when
that we're-
people were, it's like, I could be a friend with you, but not you, but we come as a team.
Exactly.
Oh,
This is
tricky.
Come on, nobody likes me, but they love me. No,
They
yeah,
tolerate you. They tolerate you.
They told me like, sorry, I'm drinking Mate. We don't drink beer because he needs to come back to work.
Yeah,
Raise
we
the kid.
forgot to ask what people is drinking today.
Yeah, it's
Well, you
not
can probably
drugs.
guess from the previous shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
just-
drugs, guys. It's just an infusion.
It
It's
makes
mate.
something
We
in
drink
our
it in
brain.
Argentina all the time.
He's not actually.
I'm not a
into-
big fan of it, but this moment is very special, so I'm gonna go ahead.
You
and
call Chimarrão?
That's
Oh, you
it.
got
I
to
like to
me,
drink
okay.
Yeah.
To me, yeah, mate is more of a social thing. Like, I used to drink it more when we were back in Buenos Aires with like big groups of friends. Not when I'm just alone, but she's like
I need it.
devoted to mate all the time. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's like coffee. It's like you need it. But yeah, it's a social thing. It's like when we are with
Yes.
friends, we share this little shit
not
full
yeah,
of virus. Not this.
not recommended for
For this
coronavirus
time.
moments.
For Corona.
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, alcohol to me is like it's just a social thing. I can quit when I want.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it is. How are you guys going with all this situation? Talking about like this COVID.
It's interesting. Like, I guess it's more of a Thiago question because I've been working remotely for quite a number of years anyway. So for me, it hasn't changed a huge amount other than I can't really, I'm probably not going to go into like the city centre or the town or anything like that, to be honest. But I guess it's affected Thiago and the running of his studio quite a bit more than me.
Yeah, the studio is being fine for us. We're not doing anything heavy 3D at the moment, so we're doing more 2D and cell animation now. So it's easy to work everyone remotely, but takes a lot more time on feedback and direct projects because you need to jump in a call or you need to do sketches. In the studio, just go and point on the screen and have a quick shot with each one. But London is a little bit better. It's getting a little bit back to normal now. So
really?
it's not on
Kind of. It's like,
yeah.
I feel like it's the government are rushing things a little bit. Do
Oh,
you feel
we
that
know
as
about
well?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we know about that.
Yeah.
You hear about this country, right? Yeah.
How the whole coronavirus situation affected you guys working?
I think sorry, I interrupt. You were asking.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's this time of the world. I think it's the most complicated thing we have in our life. Like we never experienced this before in our life, and anyone in the world happened to be this. And life is movement. You need to connect with people. When you don't feel connect with someone else, you feel like something is fucked up. And it's the when you don't have the chance to project, to build something beyond you to have like a, how do you say, meta,
like a goal,
a goal.
Yeah, goal.
It's fucked up. It's like you need goals in your life in order to get like happiness, like to feel realized, to feel like you're
just need something to aim for. Like for the past like when it first started, for the first couple of months, it's like you just didn't know where the light at the end of the tunnel was going to come from. Like you didn't know when you're going to go back to any kind of normality, and I found that quite difficult. But how did you guys deal juggling like work and family as well? Because I think that's a real hard aspect, especially if you're a couple working in the same industry.
And you guys have a daughter as well.
Yeah, well, believe me, it was actually, it's hard for us every single day. Like, even though my mom is here and it's a huge, it's a bless to have her and help us both with my daughter, our daughter, sorry. My daughter. I have her with another one. No, with another special guest. Yeah, but it's fucking hard. And if people, I remember at the beginning of this whole COVID, seeing people on Instagram with a really good intention to, okay, this is the time to do stuff and and I was like, fuck up. This is not the time to do that shit. Like, I mean,
it depends on.
It depends, but
if you're 20s and have no child, then fine.
Exactly. If you don't have child, do it, whatever. But in a point, and I again, it was with a good intention. But for me, it was like, this is fucked up. We never happened for this before. It is good to not lose your mind, but it's okay to feel shitty, and it's normal. Because I remember people asking like, oh, how you ended up, you're so good and whatever. No, it was a struggle, and it is a struggle. And being a mom is a bless, but it was fucked up. And for me, being a mom and all this whole lockdown stuff, I wasn't living in that way when I just got her. I quit my work because I really want to be with her. But changing your life, being along with a baby because he was working all day and not really having another stuff to do, and feeling like shitty because we were living in this house from Hollywood, and it was raining. It never rains in LA, but when it rains,
but it rained a lot.
It's the same here. It's never sunny in London, and the whole quarantine is being sunny.
It's been ridiculous.
Yes. It's like, yes, you know about that, but you need that vitamin D in your blood because you lose your mind. And when this whole situation happened, I was actually having him at home, which was amazing. But for me, having seen Esteban was like, oh, that means that you can just stay with us, like play with Olivia, and I can just poop and you can stay with Oli. And it wasn't like that. He actually needs to work all day. So for us, taking care of each other and work, it is hard, and we're trying to figure
it's hard to set the boundaries where when we had Ollie, my dream was, okay, I would love to be more at home and I got the chance to work more at home, and I was doing it sometimes, but not like now. Like it's now it's an everyday thing. It's the norm. It's the new normal, and seeing that, it's really hard to understand, okay, this is the moment that I have to work and I have to be sitting here and doing calls and giving notes and doing stuff for work, and I can't probably be paying attention to what's happening on the rest of the house or the family. So it's kind of like hard to deal
to balance
with that balance.
It's hard
exactly.
To balance. And balance is not about like equilibrio, how you say it? Like, well, balance.
Equilibrium.
Yeah.
It's about movement. It's about like moving and doing. And it's so hard to find. I guess it's like you really want to be selfish because it's what you need right now, and it's this shitty moment that you cannot connect with people and hug and kiss and go to a coffee and hear people talking and whatever. But you need to be the best version of yourself and not be selfish at all. So it's fucking hard because you really want to just do whatever you want at the moment, but you want your family to be happy, and it's like a continuous struggle because you need your time, but you also want to be for the other one. So it's like, it's fucked up. And I guess the word we met before is not here anymore. Like it changed completely. And we can see, like, I try to be positive, of course. I don't want to be like, oh, everything is cheating, we shouldn't do anything. Like I think art and creativity, like creation, will save us. We need it. But yeah, at the beginning I was like, really, I need to do all these things you're asking me to do in Instagram. Like, come on, I don't want to do it.
There's a question on YouTube from Xiao Jingjiang, who says, do you feel like being a mum affects your passion for what you do, and do you have time for personal projects?
Well,
good question.
Good question. You want to start?
No, I mean, it's for you.
It's for me. He's a special.
It's a mum to mum question, I think.
It's a mom
it's
question.
a mom question. Oh, mommy, I got you. It is fucking hard, and I think being a mom, it's like, being a woman, and I don't want to be just focused on the idea of like woman and men, but I think it's important to know, like, being another, you need to put yourself in the other one's position. Like for me, actually in our country, in our Argentina and Buenos Aires and all Latin America, and I think here too, like, we need to change our statement as a culture and think. What I'm trying to say is, like, if my daughter gets sick in Argentina and we both work, they're going to call me to grab her. You know what I mean? Like, mom is mom, and it's her first job ever. It's like her priority. And it's important for us to change that perspective. And hey, I'm coming from my grandma, which is from Galicia, Spain, and she has this statement which says, like, men, it's the first thing, and you need to serve her food and clean their face and like everything is the man. It's like you grow up with that, and in a culture, even women's, we try ourselves like, oh, she's a shitty mom, she's just start to work again, and it's like, fuck you, like, you don't have any idea how it's being a mom and how hard it is, and how our culture just push women to just come back to work and take off your meal, and it's fucking hard.
Also, being a mom is very different. Being a mom is very different to different people as well. Like,
Yes.
and also it depends a lot on your circumstances too. There's so many different aspects. Like I think the old way of looking at things, where you serve the man and all that stuff, it's just not applicable in today's society.
Exactly.
And how
we need to
how we all are.
Yeah, and it's time for us to change it. Like, I hear a lot of shit, and it's good to, change that and see normal something else, like not what we as normal now. Like, even for me, even for people we came with that background that tell us women should do certain things and not another, or in this same industry, when you say, oh, they're not our directors, you see men's and women's, and you're like, well, it's about talent, no gender, but it's about to, like, I didn't have the chance because I want to be a mom, and I take it from another path. But it's important to know, as a woman, we have another things to deal with, and men's too. We don't forget about men's. Men need to deal with, oh, you're the man, you need to be the one taking care of the family,
Providing,
and not crying and not show your emotions and be the provider. It's a shitty word, and we need to change it, no matter how hard it is. But we need to change our culture thing. And as a mom, having her personal time, it is important, because it's not I think it's more important the quality time you spend with your daughter or your son rather than the amount of time.
Yeah.
I was like having all these hours with my daughter, like 24 hours. But sometimes I was just losing my mind and I was feeling like shitty because you have this guilty shit oppressing your heart. Like, why am I feeling this? And it is really hard. And even though I was having him, you know, being in another country without your family, and I have friends here and I love them with all my heart, but everyone, you know, have their path,
got their own
their
problems as
lives.
well.
Yeah, and I think maternity should be like a community thing. Like you should be part of like take the baby for a moment and give me that space.
And I think social and politically, different countries deal with it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Like we had the chance here to talk with people from I think it was Sweden, and they were mentioning, when usually moms got their child, they have like a year off.
And for
and they were like, what?
For the husband too, for maternity leave for a husband in the Nordic countries, Like America for maternity leave is crap. Like for the mother as well as the husband is absolutely ridiculous. Like it's so backwards.
Too, and Bucket changed their policy and it was amazing for me for 6 months, and then I quit. Sorry. But
thanks. Bye.
Sorry.
You're the reason.
But you know, I'm telling you about like my experience as a mom, but I know as a dad, it's really hard too. Like they need to deal with this shit that is like losing their minds and a baby, and they really cannot connect with the baby because just cries and wants boobs, and that's it. So it's like
just like a husband.
Exactly. So husbands need to deal with that, and this like in another level, but it is hard too. So
But in the future, I feel like in the near future, what I would like to see is to normalize this view that moms can be going out to work and dads can stay home taking care of their kids. I don't see that.
Is that view quite prevalent in our current generation in Argentina or Latin America? Because obviously we're in Europe, and I feel like it's a little bit more acceptable. You know, it's pretty acceptable for the female to go back to work, or more so acceptable, especially in fairly progressive cities like London and what have you. So, is that something that's quite prevalent in our age group in Latin America? That it's kind of still a bit of an old way of thinking.
I think we have an old way to think. It's changing, thank God, because like young people and people that have another like open
mindset,
But you know, as I said before, because we have all this background as a culture thing, you were always judging like this lady just leave their son in the school and they don't really see it, and she's like playing tennis with her friends. She's not even working. Why is she leaving their daughter? You know, like that shit. We have it, and we need to change it. I don't know. It's a process, and it's part of a revolution. And I guess when a revolution starts, like it's like open how do you say it,
like a faucet,
and a lot of shit is going out. And you're like, oh, I don't like this part of the feminist, but it's part of the change.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a bigger picture, I guess.
It's like everything is coming out, and you're like, whoa, but that thinks that I'm as a man, I don't have the same rights. It's not about that. It's like changing our point of view as a culture, and as you say, in Latin America, we need to.
I think we're a lot more sexist in Latin America.
Yeah.
Is it the same in Brazil, Thiago?
Between women.
Yes.
Especially in the industry, I feel like, especially on the animation industry in Argentina, it's just a man thing.
Yeah, if it's not a man dealing with the big clients or being our director or whatever, you're always thinking, oh, maybe if this is she, you will always be thinking like, she needs sex. She's in those days. Don't listen to her. It's like, fuck this. Like,
so
even as a woman, like even as are saying the same women are just judging and thinking the same, and it's hard, but it's going to change. That doesn't mean men doesn't mean.
So how did it feel? How did it feel as a female working in the industry in Buenos Aires, also kind of comparing that to like a female working in the industry in America as well. Like how do they compare?
Well, I think maybe it changed. It was almost 8 years that I'm not working there anymore, but it's been a quite, wow, oh my God, I'm old.
You're realizing now.
Yes,
I'm
it was
sorry.
28.
Sorry.
No, but yeah, I think Argentina is like that, but maybe not now. It's changing, thank God. But I remember one of the studio was running for. I'm not saying that all the studios and all the talent should be running by a woman. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is like, as a culture, we need to change our point of view and our finger saying like, if it's a woman, it's because she's a bitch. You know, it's like, she says something, or she should need to show her in a way that is like, do this and do that, because they're not taking it serious. We need to change it, but it's really hard. In Argentina, all the big studios are running by men, which is nothing wrong. But I wonder what we need to do to empower girls and show her that they can really do it. And I was a shitty graphic designer, but they gave me opportunity, you know, and I grew up because of that. Okay, give it opportunity to women or to.
But do you think? Do you think also is because I think it's changing with the generation as well. We see a lot more women now, like especially when it comes from illustration design background. But when we go like 3D, it's not as many as women.
It's true.
We see a lot more in the schools and university. You see a lot more women now. So it's a generation that is gonna come. Then we're gonna have more power. I think we're not seeing. Yeah, I don't think we see as. I think like let's say 1 or 2 generation, like my time was only men. But like I'm seeing a lot more women now. But in schools and the university, you see a lot more. But that's gonna be 2 generations.
The next generation
later, you know.
I think
but it's like South America. I think it's kind of the sexist mentality.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's a vision that we heritage, how the la herencia,
heritage.
Heritage. We came from Spain. We are mixed as Argentinians. We are a mix of Italians. I don't know what it is, but it's good to say that like these times that with all the Black Lives Matter, like people say like I don't see colors, but you know if you don't see really colors, you're not seeing the background of that person.
You still have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, you need to acknowledge, and as a woman, you need to acknowledge too. She needs to deal with some other stuff that men not and will be something else to the table, as a man does too. Like that's the only thing. But yeah, mom, if you want to have a personal, it's a balance. If you want to find a space for you, do it because it's going to invest. It's going to be an invest for your child development too. For me, it worked. I'm another person when I have a space for me, and you need to ask her, take that shitty bullshit that we have, the guilt of being a mom and need to be there for your baby. You need to ask your partner or someone else, or make the time for you. Because if you don't make it for you, your child will be a fucker. No, but really, we need it. For that man that asked that question, ask for that space, earn it, and embrace it.
It's almost like a mental health question, really, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
In fact, it is a mental health question.
It is, yeah. Everything is about like our mental.
Yeah.
And as creatives, we need it like more than.
Well, creative, there's not much difference. There's only like a small nanometer of difference between creativity and friggin' mental.
Oh yes, it's like really. Yeah, it's true.
And also to respond a bit of that question, where they were asking about like if you find time to be creative or not. It's really hard to like if you have a kid pending on you and you don't have enough of time, you can just set a couple of hours in a day, and it's really hard to be during those 2 hours a day I'm going to be creative.
You can't just turn it on and off, can you? I find it really difficult. Like if I have like a spare hour or two, it takes me like an hour to get into the mood of doing something creative, into the mindset.
Yes,
it's really difficult.
Exactly.
It's so hard.
And that's emphasized even more so as a parent, because obviously you can't really pick and choose when your free time is anymore, as much as like you used to be able to.
Yeah,
anyway, that's my excuse for being rubbish.
That's my excuse too. It's like, client, I cannot deliver this because sorry. Yeah.
And how you guys dealing, because of course with the COVID, you guys lucky in the house, lucky you have your mother to help a little bit, but you both work at the same time and parenting the same time. For you, I believe is a little bit on the work side is a little bit easier because you freelance, you can shift the hours, but but probably you need to feel the rigid hours.
I work from 10 to 7, and lately, luckily, I have to say, because if you hear a lot of people in the industry and other type of jobs, they lose their jobs, and we have the luck to still be able to work, and we have been working a lot, even more than before.
Yeah, so, I think the animation industry is quite lucky at the moment because a lot of people are switching to live action. What have you? I don't know how. I've no idea what it's going to be like long term, to be honest. But
that's my question too. At the moment, some companies were. It's ugly to say benefited, but there's a lot of like projects that were first intended to be live action and now are going to animation because they can't just gather people together. So that's what the money comes more than before, I guess, to this type of animation companies. Lately I have been working a lot, like weekends and late nights, and before COVID it was more of a regular thing. So it's hard to deal with that, being here at home but not being able to like be all the time. How do you juggle like working weekends and late nights with a family as well? Because I find that I as much as I can, I always try to finish it, like 6 o'clock or whatever, and try and keep some family time. But I don't know, if you're working late nights and evenings, it must be really, really quite tricky. It's tricky, and we bought, for example, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is like our bedroom. So Ollie sleeps with us here. So I had to buy one of the screen dividers. So I use it at night, so the lights don't just and bother her and stuff like that. And we have to accommodate in the best way we can.
I think this is a really hard situation as well, because he used to be in the studio, so makes in some way easier, with the baby. But if you're both working and you need to shift the hours, it's like, for me, working remotely is not being a problem, but I'm working from my living room. So it makes a lot more hard, because in the day, like if I need to do a call, and my daughter is back in the nursery now, but on Thursday she at home. And if she's at home, she's in the living room. And so if I need to do a call, I need to go to the bedroom, and I keep the whole day like that. So I imagine for you too, because you too doing the same thing and with the babies. So that praise.
And the mother-in-law too.
And the mother-in-law too.
Yeah. My mom is here.
You're going to start paying her.
Oh yeah, before her. I was really start to do freelance when Ollie was like a year. But I was just doing this illustration. I was doing this personal thing with my friends. But then I took the courage to grab a project. I think it was a year ago. Mm-hmm. And what I was doing is like just doing it while she was sleeping. And her nap was only maybe 40 minutes. So for me, it was like just running away, and then moonlight like all night. And at that time, it was just, how do you say, nursery?
Yeah, or breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding. So I was just jumping to the computer and the bed with my boob outside. So I was actually not forgetting to put it there again. Sleeping with my boob inside of the coffee.
I'm glad you weren't doing like Zoom calls and video conferences, because that could be a little bit uncomfortable. It's not chat roulette.
I'm sorry. You want a milk in your coffee? No. Sorry. But actually, one of my calls, it was with video call. I was just nursing her while doing, the call, and I was trying to deal with that until we figure out like, okay, we need to call the nanny. And it was another question, like, and again, the guilt, see, like feeling of what am I doing? I need to be with my daughter, blah, 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 blah. And it's like a strange moment of like, okay, stop, Joy, come on, you need to work in order to feel happy, whatever. And now that my mom is here, it's amazing, but because she has this arthritis in her knee, it's not that we really want her to be all day. So I only use 2 or 3 hours of the morning and then during the night. And sometimes I cannot count with that time. So it's been really hard for me to, to see when I can work. And as you say before, or too, like you have an hour and maybe you want to do something, but you don't have like the creative process of time to do it. So you need to just run. And I think intuition came to that part of the process. And for me, it helped to have all the experience, that it's not too much, but it's a really good amount of experience that helped me to just trust my intuition and do it. Because sometimes when I had a lot of time, I was just spending maybe a day to look through reference and see what I can do and blah and do doodles. And now I have like an hour and okay, this is it. This is a brief. This is what I want. Let's do it, and I ended up doing like a bunch of options and it's like, wow, and it's rewarding at that moment. And then I days that I don't do a shitty thing and it doesn't work, but it's good too. Like I'd say before, perfection, it doesn't fix. It just it stops you to your real talent and your real self. Like take out, like it's not going to be perfect, but at least it is.
And I think you got more skilled on the way you filter job offers too. It's hard to tell, but sometimes you see people, they're just sending her emails and the way they write and how soon they need them, and you kind of like
you can gauge it a bit.
Yeah, you see how it's gonna go, so you can really say, okay, no.
So you trust your instinct and your guts, and your previous experience to say, okay.
I think time is more valuable now. No, so you needed to really, let's say, pick your fights. What you want to do or not. Because it's the same. I think for me, or like for father as well. You want to spend time. And the mother is even harder because you need breastfeed and you need to do things that the father can't do. So you end up, all right, that job's going to be a nightmare. Doesn't really
I know you tried.
I tried.
You tried to
work. But I think you end up being more cautious on what you pick to do and not, because your time is so precious when you have the free time.
For that, like, for you guys,
it's like, I've got a daughter, but then I just got The Last of Us as well. So
yes,
it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, for parents, for that, it must feel really hard too. And you're working and you want to be for your family, but you also, it is hard because for moms, at least at one point of the paternity, it feels like whatever you do, it's completely what we need. It's like no matter what you do, you can build a house and do, like all the food. It won't be we need, because at that point we are like, our moms are shitty, our nipples are bleeding. It's like, fuck this. But so you guys are great and you're there for us, and it's amazing, and it's hard for you too, of course. And
it almost feels like it almost feels like a taboo to say it's hard for the husbands as well, because obviously we don't go through the physical aspect.
Yeah, I don't.
But it is difficult. So obviously you want to do the best for your, your other half and your daughter and or son or whatever. And I think that has a mental toll, really, rather than obviously the physical toll. Unless you're a scumbag and you fucking run off.
Yeah. Talking about the mentor, how you guys work-wise and building the family, being together, and you guys working separate, how mentally was, like the beginning, the process, being a parent and managing the work at the same time? Did you guys had any like kind of breakdowns or anything that you could share with us? Just
I think I think it's really important to talk out loud of what you want.
Communication.
Communication is,
Yes.
and we never fought before. Like that's how we say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were like a couple that you can say that it's pretty chill, and we are like, we always talk out loud. As you can say, I'm really like I talk shit, but I'm like, oh, and he's like super chill, and he listened to me, and we all tried to figure out what is going on. But I think communication is super important, and it is always going to be something that it won't work at that time, and you're going to find your couple and watching your couple saying like, what is going on? I don't know him anymore. And
She's changed, man.
She's a changed man, and I'm not changed, but like, what the fuck? But it is so important to say, hey, you need a time, right? Of course, and you don't want to feel guilt about you just start, because it's hard for you guys. Like, he was running from work and coming here and was like, take the baby, and it's hard for him too. Like, I was like, okay, I was stuck in the, and with all the cars in LA, and I have a really fat day. Like, I need a space for myself. Of course you need a space, but I was a baby all day. So you need to be the stuff you want to do without feeling resentful. And in order to not feel resentful, you need to speak aloud. Like, say, like, you know what? I know you have a really bad day. And two, you were stuck in the metro or whatever with cars. I don't even see a pigeon. I don't even see a bird. And all day, I just see poop and a diaper, and that's it. Like, so you need to put yourself in the other part of in the other one's shoes.
The other shoes,
even
yeah.
smell bad, like you don't want to do it. But and I think I don't know how it works for you, but yeah.
Do you guys find that becoming parents has changed you as creatives? Like, because your perspective changed, and it's inevitable that your perspective changes in some way, shape, or form. So do you feel like it's affected your creative output as well, in terms of, I guess it's like, this idea has come from this part of being a parenthood in some way, shape, or form, or whatever. Do you feel like your ideas are a little bit different now, or?
In my case, I think I got way more emotional after being that.
More emo.
Not that I weren't before, but yeah. And creatively, I think before I was more of I think it was the fact of being younger too, but I was more of an adventurer. Now I'm 37, so I'm seeking for like stability probably now, especially
with a family.
Exactly, having a kid and all that. It's like I'm always looking more of a long-term thing, or like way ahead of what is gonna come, even though it's really impossible, especially at this moment, to see far ahead where it's gonna come. So, but yeah, and in my case, it's more stability.
For me, it was like changing my perspective of seeing the world. Like, it's amazing to see how they understand the world, and makes you feel like, okay, when you try to explain, it's like, oh, this actually moves because a circle. Oh, like, this is really shitty, but you know what I mean? Like, you see the world with virgin eyes. Like, you're trying to.
It's true, yeah.
It's like you change your perspective because you're not yourself anymore too. So I think it's an experience that you gain, and you put it in your work without really knowing how, but it is there. And with the times when we worked before, we talked before, like, time wise, it makes you concentrate and not be rambling and doing shitty, and like avoiding the fact that you have a white canvas in front of you. It's like, do it. Like, you have the experience. Just do it. That must
be terrible for, I'm basically an animator, so I'm not into illustrating or designing anything. I always have something already thought when I only have to think about moving and bringing it to life. But for a designer, it must be really hard, because you have a blank space that you have to put like something in there.
And I said before, like, perfection is selective. So you want to do stuff that already work. So I see people like grabbing things that already work and put it in their jobs, and you can tell it's not really working, and it feels like it's like someone trying a dress. You with this dress.
Oh yeah,
I
guys,
will
she's the reference police. She's the reference police. You can show her anything, and she's like, I know where this guy took this from, and
It's like the Simpsons. It's like, oh, Simpsons did it. Oh, Simpsons did it.
I know everything, but yeah, because I think.
Sorry. When you guys work together, do you ever find it difficult when you critique each other's work? Because being a couple, it's an extra level of shit to go through. Like if I ever say anything about my wife's work, or if she ever criticizes.
So she's a designer or something. She's
an illustrator, Jing Zhang. But if I ever say anything about her work, it's like whoa, or I don't know. I like to think I'm a little more open than she is, but she'll probably tell you completely different. But,
I like to say the same with us, but it's hard.
It's hard,
and I think it has to be with this idea of like, I don't want to feel shame with the person who loves me, and when we do stuff,
and you take it more personal.
Yes. It's like our stuff. It's part of ourselves. It's like if someone critiques.
That's Latino blood, though. It's very. It feels very personal. Latino blood. It's it's like all or nothing.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
I mean, I don't mind if a creative director
like, just make the logo bigger. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
And my wife said it. It's like, oh.
Because you speak. I'm talking about you as anime, but your work.
I know. I think to me, at least, the only solution to that is doing it more and more until it disappears.
Yeah, it's hard.
Or until you ignore each other, one of the two.
Exactly. With just divorce, whatever.
My brother-in-law has a really good phrase. He always make a joke because my sister is quite hard. They don't work together, but he wake up in that day and he think, do I want to be happy today or do I want to be right? You know, when it's a relationship, it's easy for you to deal with that because you can say, all right, I'm just going to ignore it. But when it's work, if you work together, you guys need to tell to each other. It's no excuse. You can't avoid that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's sad, but it's true. It's like, you know what? And you just quick, it's like, okay. Let's talk after this. But we need to find a way. That's the thing. I think that's the reason why we don't really work together to impress stuff.
Yeah,
because we are afraid of doing.
So,
sorry.
As you talk about working together, we just we got 1 hour and 7 minutes, so we're gonna do more couple questions and we finish. But talking about working together, now of course you guys at least you're not at Buck anymore. But you guys had any plan to, I don't know, in the future maybe start directing together or pushing? Is any?
Yeah. So I think to add to that as well. Like, do you guys see yourself staying in LA, or would you kind of eventually go back to like Buenos Aires and try and change up the industry there as well, as a additional to Thiago's question? Yeah,
it's a good question. No, please.
Okay.
I don't want to fuck up this question.
I think eventually we always dreamed of being working together. Either we don't have it too clear if it would be a studio or if it would be just the two of us freelancing as a team and directing other people, remoting, whatever. But we do have it as a goal to eventually work together and more often. Regarding where we're going to be living, it's so hard to answer that question right now because we are the thing here in the US is also like it's not just a decision you take. Okay, I'm going to stay here. It depends. There's a lot of papers.
Also your visas and what have you, I imagine.
Yeah, and we're
especially with this administration too.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So we're right about in the moment of having a new visas. It might work, it might not work. So if it doesn't work, we would have to go back to Argentina, I guess. Then we have this other idea of like she has a Spanish citizenship, so we were thinking about we would be great to go to Europe and see how it goes.
Except London, because
Look, that's not my fault. I did not vote for that. Okay.
Guys, it was so good, but yeah, okay.
We hear from a lot of Argentinian friends we have there. They're doing great. they open their own studios or they're like growing as independent
And
freelancers.
it's the same language.
And it's the same
It's
language.
not the same culture.
Similar culture, same language.
I mean, half
It's-
the world speaks the same. Half the world speaks Spanish, so
I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but you have so
And strategically, I think being in Spain would open the doors to like go into other countries, and everything is so
Yeah.
close there.
I mean, also culturally as well. Yeah, first of all, like travel-wise, you know, Europe's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
also like culturally, it's nice to have that mix of, you know, obviously you've got your Argentinian culture, to have the Spanish culture on your doorstep as well, and you know, I think that'd be kind of amazing. Also, you know, you got like Portugal down the road, and
Oh,
lots of
imagine
amazing
that.
food.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Imagine
Yeah.
that.
it's all
Yeah,
about
it's
food,
such
really.
intense.
Just pick where's got the best menus.
Well, we need to try. We've never been into Europe.
Nope.
So it's always so cool.
It's
but all
good.
this
Loads of
culture-
Europeans.
That's nice.
A part of English now.
Yeah, apart from some parts of England for sure.
But yeah, it's a good question. It's like we don't
It's
know.
so uncertain right
Yeah,
now.
right now
It's-
it's like-
yeah.
Yeah.
For now, of course, our intention is to stay here for a couple of years more, but yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, to be honest, I never see myself being a mom here. Without, I'm pretty close. I'm really, really close to my family, and well, as you see, my mom stay here for quite a while. If not, my mom will. But yeah, I'm only child. I grew up in the same house with my grandma, my mom, I don't have a dad, so my mom married when she was pretty young, 17. She wanted to run away from his
Wow.
her home because my grandma, you know, the Galician from Spain, like mom says. So every time she was going out, she was like, "Are you pregnant? What are you doing? That woman should be at home, you know." So she was, you know what? I'm going to be married, 17, and get out. So she get out, and 3 years later, she was like pregnant of her husband. She married.
So your grandmother
virgin,
was
you know?
right, you see?
She was,
Yeah.
you know, but she was
You're going out, you're
My
pregnant, you see?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
all this
Yeah.
culture thing.
Elder no, man.
But it's crazy, like all this culture background, like you should be married, virgin. She was virgin, and they married this teenager. He was like a fucker, like whatever. So she ended up having me and whatever. But yeah, she go back to my grandma home. So I raised all my childhood was on this home, surrounded of noises, full of family. So I'm pretty attached to that. I never thought in my life to be pregnant in another country, only with my husband. Like, what the fuck? So for me, imagine my little one growing up without all the things I have in my, it is pretty hard, and it breaks my heart, and it makes me like, oh. In this moment more than ever, it's like, what am I doing in this country that I love? And
Yeah,
it's
it would be nice to be close to
Yeah.
family.
But there's no perfect solution. Like it's lovely to be.
No.
I mean, we have quite an international family. Like my wife's family are all in China. My parents are kind of only about an hour away now before we moved from London.
Yeah.
But anyway, and it would be, you know, I love the idea of our daughter spending more time with her grandparents and what have you. But if she spends more time with her the Chinese grandparents, she'll spend less time with my grandparents. And you know, there's never a
It's
perfect
never, yeah.
solution. Like it's always a balance. And then you throw into the mix like the work that you want to do and whereabouts in the world the work you want to do comes from and all that kind of side of things. It just makes it incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it is hard. As you said, it's like, it is always hard. And it's important to know that he and me and my daughter, we are a family. So we need to build that no matter where. But it's hard to think, and if you, I don't know if Thiago happens to, I don't know if you have family in Brazil or how it's.
Yeah, my whole family is in Brazil. It's only me and my wife and Walter.
Yeah, how do you find it, Thiago? Because obviously
I
your
love
family.
that. I love 11 hours flight. No one comes without telling me.
Oh my God, yeah. 14 hours for us.
Well, to be fair, they're not going to be able to visit for a while because of quarantine anyway.
No, Brazilians not allowed to fly to Europe.
or Portuguese, man. Or Portuguese.
American Brazilians and Russian can't fly to Europe.
What?
Oh,
yeah, because
I mean, Brazil is not doing too well with.
We have amazing
pretty crazy.
presidents there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, cala a boca, mano. Cala a boca, porra. Cala a boca. Pra criança.
Cool. Should we pick a last question, James?
Yeah, do you wanna pick it?
Yeah. There is one question Rafael Aflalo asked. He asked in regards to the illustration, but it's good to know as animation as well, like when you start a project, when you start as if you know it's for animation, you start the project in a different way. And that is just a print, of course. And I can imagine like you two working together, just like the discussions like, you didn't break the layers, I can't animate that, So
do you name your layers? That's the question.
Yeah, did you forgot to name?
Oh, she names her layers in a such funny way.
Yeah, I'm pretty selfish when I'm doing that. It's so wrong. And for me, imagine my experience with motion and animation was just when I came to this country in this huge place, which was like, okay, this is the way it works. So I was actually, for me, it was like an open door, and they told me to do whatever. So because they already have the assets and the talent, it wasn't a matter of, okay, we need only have this budget, just do characters that can just be animated with. So for me, it was like not in the table, that discussion. For me, it was like, do whatever you want to do. And then if it looks good and it works, it's okay. So always selfish when I'm doing shit like that. I'm just following the brief and doing.
Just to answer
whatever.
that, I always end up rebuilding things in After Effects as shapes.
I will hate me too. It is
Because
true.
for us, it's always when we work with illustrators, it's always good to work with illustrators then understand animation, because if comes like that file and you spend like a whole day, like 2 days rebuilding everything, and you say no.
Yeah, and they don't think it's.
I want to make a T-shirt. You have the Beatles T-shirt which says like John, Paul, George, and Ringo. I just want to make an animation one that says layer 0, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. That's actually a good one. Yeah, it is. We need to. I think if you want to become like a better illustrator, you need to become a better person and think
organized.
Think about the other one. Okay, you're going to grab this. I'm going to build this for you. But for me, it's like whatever.
I know it's like a massive broad stroke, but illustrators and organization, they're usually quite far apart.
Yeah, yes. I know. If you see my files,
they're a mess.
I'm glad we got to this point of the conversation. This is quite therapeutic for me, because I've been saying it for a long
I'm so
time.
sorry. Regardless of all the illustrations, no.
Shame.
I know.
At least Photoshop is a little bit better now, because they create always a new layer. When it's illustrated, it's all sub-layer, one layer you can't break in After Effects, and then you go back to
but in your case, you work that way. You have the artboard, and then you have like a galaxy of things going around. It's just amazing. I don't know how you do it, but
because I start with something, it's like, okay, let me try this. Maybe this one. And everything is fucked up. Everything is.
It works, so it's fine.
Whatever works for you.
Well, for now, we'll see. But yeah.
Cool.
Awkward silence.
Yeah.
Maybe
so I think
that's a full stop.
Yeah, full stop. We're getting on almost 120. But guys, I want to first thank you both to be part of the show. It's been really great, especially bringing the parent side as well, because we didn't spoke much. It is nice for
really
people
interesting.
has kids, and even like as you said, we need to break that mentality. Mom can't go back to work, and both parents work in the same industry. It's nice to see the reality of that, and it's always good to give that insight to people. A lot of people probably want to have a baby or not.
Or not now.
Or not now.
Just have sex. Not the baby.
Just have sex.
Practice a lot. But no, have the baby. It's the best thing. It changed your life for a better. But thank you guys. This is amazing for everything.
It's been amazing for me too. A special guest.
It's great.
You're welcome.
No, it's really nice. And So from next week, we're gonna have we start having a break. So we're gonna do every 2 weeks now. Yeah, it just been like
It was too much. See, parenthood.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's,
You need
it's,
a
uh,
break.
it's, it's because the lockdown in the UK is easing, so we have to, get back to reality.
And the
So now
pub's
you need
open
to-
pub's open on
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
no,
so we're
please.
not gonna be able to be here every Tuesday night,
Yeah.
We have to
God,
do
just
that.
don't do it. Yeah.
So the next
good.
the next talk is going to be 14th, I think it is. Is that right?
Yeah, it
Who's
is
going
the
to be?
14th. Yeah,
Tuesday the
14th.
14th. Yeah.
She?
July.
Is it she? Who is she?
No,
We'll tell you. We'll tell you later.
Yeah,
Okay,
just,
okay.
Some
Keep it in
mystery.
suspense.
Okay, I will
yeah,
follow.
we're gonna review in the end of the week.
Yeah.
But we're gonna
Okay.
start having a break, so we do every 2 weeks. So the next one is
Yeah,
on
that's good.
14th.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. You need it.
Because you guys just can't handle it every week.
Yeah, come on. Too much. It's pretty good. I cannot do it. Come on. Next time, make it.
Yeah, but thank you so much, guys. It was a
Yeah.
pleasure to have you both on the show.
No, it was a pleasure for us. Thank
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Thank you. We're gonna see everyone in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
And thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.